So, for my multicultural book review, I chose the book The Water Princess by Susan Verde, illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. This book has a Lexile of 290L, which equates to a grade level of 3. Selection criteria. So, the reason why I chose this book is because it gives a lot of insights into the day to day life of what it looks like to be a young girl in Africa. So students are able to learn about African culture and tradition in an entertaining way that they are able to relate to. Summary. This book is about a small child who goes by the name of Princess Gigi. She finds herself so upset by the fact that she cannot bring water closer to her and that the water from the well is not clear. She goes through her day-to-day process of walking to the well with her mother to get water, where she wears a pot on her head in place of a crown. They bring the water home, clean it, wash clothes with it, cook with it, and drink it. Princess Gigi dreams of a day where she will get to have clear water. So, reader response. I really enjoyed this book because of how it was able to give those cultural insights through the eyes of a young girl. So in that, there's a lot of relatability because the girl whose perspective this book is from is a similar age to the intended audience, which is a third grader. And these images were detailing and bright, which definitely adds to the intrigue and keeps the reader excited and wanting to look to the next page. So student connections. Students can definitely connect to Princess Gigi in the way that she shares so many similar attributes and habits to kids all over the world. Some of these attributes are the way that she likes to pretend that she is a princess with magic powers. I feel like there are so many kids that do that, or just like to play make-believe. She complains about getting out of bed to go do her chores, which is what every kid does. And there are even times where they talk about her playing with her friends, which again is just a really important part of every child's upbringing. So this makes it so that students all over the world are able to connect to her, even though they live a very different life and have very different cultures. They understand that at the root of it all, though, there's so much that connects the reader to the young girl that is portrayed in this story named Princess Gigi. So for my first lesson, this is for the intended audience, which is a third grade classroom. And something that I would do with this book is have a read aloud. This book isn't super complex in words, but there's a lot of content that I think it would be difficult for a third grader to kind of unpack on their own. So I would make sure to mark spots in this book where I want to stop and ask questions. Some of these questions including, why is water so important? Why do you think Gigi and her mom have to travel so far to get water? What are some of the reasons Gigi would complain about going to get the water? Does Gigi seem happy? In what ways is Gigi similar to you? What about your daily routine? What is different about your daily routine compared to Gigi's? So just trying to aid in that comprehension of culture and what is going on, and then also that relatability aspect. Read alouds are incredibly important, and they are proven to help students in comprehension, so that one day they would be able to comprehend books on their own a little bit better, those more complex texts with more complex themes similar to this book. So for my second lesson, it would also be for a third grade classroom, and I really want to implement the idea of reflection, since that's been proven to have such a big impact on students and their ability to help with metacognition, so they can reinforce a continuous relating to the text, so that the content seems more important and relevant to them. So what I would do is pretty much just have students think back to the read aloud that they had the day before of the book The Water Princess, and give them time in class so they don't rush through it at home because it's a homework assignment. And talk about what they liked about the story, what they disliked about the story, what they related to, and what surprised them. And then for my last lesson, this would also be in a third grade classroom. And then I want to continue to reinforce that relating to Princess Gigi, but by a kinesthetic learning style this time. So what I would do is bring students outside, break them into teams, and pretty much have a large bucket of water in the center of all of these teams. That one would be filled with water, and then each team would have a large empty bucket and a small empty bucket. And pretty much what students would do is they would walk with the empty bucket on their head to the full bucket of water, scoop the water into their bucket, and then walk with it on their head back to their larger empty bucket, and then pour the water in. And then they would give the small bucket to the next kid in line, and then go to the back of the line so the next kid could have their turn. And the idea behind this is that students would then be able to kind of understand and relate to Gigi in the way of how heavy the bucket is, how hard it is to not spill the water, and yeah, just kind of understand that day to day what Gigi would be doing. So it's been proven that oftentimes kinesthetic learning helps students to retain more knowledge because both their mind and body are working together to comprehend a larger point. And it's also been proven that working in teams where students are cheering each other on increases confidence within students, which is helpful in school and just in general development as an individual. So this is my multicultural book critique. Here are all of the citations for the research that I referenced in terms of read-alouds, kinesthetic learning and group learning, and also the idea of reflection. Thanks so much.